The moment the footage rolls, the hook sets in. The camera frames the quiet suburban street, the trimmed lawns, and the crisp line of fences running along the backyards. The narrator invites the viewer to settle in, asks which country they're watching from, and reminds them to like and subscribe for more stories. Then the real account begins. The homeowner, a young professional named Carter, had moved into the neighborhood only 6 weeks earlier. He chose the property for one clear reason: privacy. After years in a noisy high-rise, he wanted space. His backyard was his sanctuary. The lots were close together, but nothing a taller fence couldn't fix. His original fence stood barely shoulder height. It felt open, almost exposed. The neighboring homes had low structures too, but most residents seemed comfortable with the visibility. Carter wasn't. He spent his evenings noticing shadows move across his yard, hearing neighbors talk loudly on their patios, and realizing he could see directly into several back windows. That wasn't the lifestyle he wanted. After reviewing his property survey, measuring the posts twice, and confirming the fence line was entirely on his land, he hired a contractor to install new 8-foot panels. Clean, sturdy, and built to match the natural wood of the neighborhood. Nothing flashy, nothing wild, just a simple privacy upgrade. The work was done in a single day. When Carter stepped outside and saw the solid wall of cedar surrounding his yard, he finally felt at home. But the peace lasted less than 24 hours. By sunrise, murmurs rippled across the block. Neighbors on morning walks paused and stared. One resident recorded video from across the street as if documenting a crime scene. Another paced the sidewalk with crossed arms. The HOA president, a woman known for her sharp opinions and sharper tone, stormed down the path with a clipboard. By noon, flyers appeared on doors announcing an emergency community meeting. Not for safety, not for maintenance, for the fence. The notice claimed the structure might alter the community aesthetic, though the guidelines never specified a height limit. It also asked homeowners to attend promptly to decide on corrective action. The phrasing suggested the outcome was already decided. At the meeting that evening, the room filled faster than ever before. People arrived out of curiosity, irritation, and anticipation of drama. Someone brought snacks as if they knew it would be long. Another set up a tripod to film the event, insisting it was for transparency. The HOA president stood at the front, highlighting the fence as a threat to uniformity. She presented diagrams, sketches, and even a digital rendering of the neighborhood with the new fence towering over the landscape. It looked exaggerated, almost comically tall, yet she insisted the visual was accurate. Some neighbors agreed, saying the tall fence cast shadows. Others claimed it made their yards feel boxed in. One resident mentioned property values and how structures like this could affect future sales. Carter waited silently, listening as each concern escalated. What began as mild irritation morphed into a spectacle. Personal grievances emerged. People complained about unrelated issues like barking dogs, untrimmed hedges, and teenagers cutting across lawns. The meeting became a blend of petty arguments and exaggerated fears. Yet not everyone opposed the fence. A few homeowners defended him. They admired the craftsmanship. They pointed out their own discomfort with low fences. They argued for personal preference and individual rights, but their voices were often drowned out. The turning point came when the HOA president attempted to propose a vote on forcing the fence to be lowered. She insisted it was necessary to maintain the community's image. But in her eagerness to assert authority, she overlooked a key detail. One resident, a quiet older man who rarely spoke, raised his hand and reminded everyone of a significant clause in the HOA charter. According to the original rules drafted decades earlier, any homeowner was allowed to build a privacy structure up to 8 feet tall as long as it remained entirely on their property. The rule had never been removed. It had simply been forgotten over time. The room fell silent. The HOA president tried to argue the clause was outdated, but the document was clear. The rule still stood. The neighbors who had complained shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The spectacle began to dissolve. Even with the rule laid out in front of them, some residents grumbled, accusing Carter of disrupting harmony, but the argument had lost momentum. The HOA no longer had authority to enforce a change. The only option was acceptance. As the meeting wrapped up, the tension slowly faded. People trickled out with lowered voices. Some apologized, others avoided eye contact, but the drama wasn't entirely pointless. The spectacle had exposed underlying frustrations, neighborhood dynamics, and how quickly small changes could spark oversized reactions. Carter returned to his home that evening with an unexpected sense of relief. He realized the fence wasn't just about privacy. It had revealed exactly what kind of community he was living in. It wasn't peaceful, it wasn't perfect, but it was manageable. The next morning, something surprising happened. A few neighbors approached his yard not to complain, but to ask about the contractor who built the fence. They liked the idea of more privacy, too. The ripple effect had begun. Over the next month, 2 more fences went up. Another homeowner asked the HOA to revisit outdated rules altogether. A fourth suggested landscaped hedges as an alternative to wooden panels. Slowly, the neighborhood shifted. Not dramatically, but noticeably. People realized they didn't all need to be uniform. They could make their spaces their own. And the HOA, once rigid, became more cautious about enforcing rules without checking the fine print first. By the end of the season, the tall fence that caused the spectacle became part of the scenery. No one stopped to stare, no one whispered about it during morning walks. It simply existed. And for Carter, that was exactly what he wanted from the beginning.